Good morning. Welcome to Women of Consciousness. It has definitely been a few months since we hopped on and did a podcast, and I'm really looking forward to just sharing, I guess, some updates. Really, that's what today is kind of about. Just taking a moment to really catch up on things that have been kind of happening over the winter months. So where I left off last fall, we did a podcast interview with Lena, founder of the Veteran Psychedelic Network. And then I did one on depression being the initiation into the underworld. And then kind of have just been on my own journey this winter. And I've been really just taking time to focus on myself and self-care and my home and my children and just work. And then kind of restructuring the business, Women of Consciousness. So I have kind of updated the logo, and I have ordered some merchandise, some stickers and some coffee mugs that I'm really kind of excited about because I have some upcoming events planned this spring, and I'm just taking it slow, I guess. Not trying to overdo it, that's for sure. So I guess just really reflecting on Natalie and I, our journey last year and kind of different episodes that we recorded and things that we really shared. There's a lot of different themes that we really touched on, and exploring like twin flame stuff in the beginning, and then kind of moving on beyond that to recognizing just, wounded masculine and wounded feminine energy, and trying to like get through and heal that to the other side where it becomes more like divine feminine, divine masculine. So we have a bunch of episodes around those themes, and then for a while we were kind of exploring tantra and just kind of breath work and working and harnessing our energy with intention. Tapping into Kundalini, that kind of sexual life force energy that's really very creative and empowering. And so there was quite a few episodes on that. And so just kind of looking at where that ties into where I'm at now, it's been a continuation of that journey for sure. There's been a lot of archetypal moments, I guess, that I experienced. There was definitely more deeper connections with certain goddess energies. And it's been cool because I've been reading a lot of like psychological books from like the 80s and the 90s. Goddesses in every woman. That was one of them that I'm kind of getting through now. That's been kind of standing out to me. And it's just really, really interesting that alchemical process of the soul kind of just guides us and leads us. And when you start paying attention and the ego gains the self-awareness of what is kind of going on in the bigger purpose to experiences and people and, just situations that pop up, it really is kind of cool to notice these really in sync connections, and sometimes maybe like very intense or mild, that you don't even recognize that it's there, or it's so intense it can be very consuming, and you kind of question, what am I really going through or experiencing, or what am I really feeling, because there is such a bigger purpose. So I know we talked a lot in previous episodes about like warrior archetype energy and I know for me, I spoke about Inanna in the underworld specifically multiple times. It's definitely something that I relate to. And Dr. Maureen, was it Dr. Maureen Murdoch, I believe? I don't have the book in front of me. But I came across and purchased her workbook about the heroine's journey. And so Natalie and I, again, had really talked a lot about hero's journey and Campbell and, like going through those processes of, the hero stepping out into a new world and then challenges and then kind of the whole elixir and coming back with the reward. But I've found with the heroine's journey, I have truly, truly really related to that. And it wasn't something I think I was specifically looking at, which makes a lot of sense because of the patriarchal kind of society and everything, academic is really much more masculine based than feminine. And so I think some of my classes focused more on certain content from certain psychologists or whatnot, and kind of overlooked some of the feminine. And so I've been sitting with that and recognizing how grateful I am that I have been open to receiving this information and connecting with it. And in tailoring it to like my own experiences and situations and kind of creating some of my own classes and things that are coming up. So I kind of want to integrate the hero's journey and the heroine's journey since they both have obviously masculine and feminine elements, and they're just good blueprints for the soul's journey, regardless of your embodiment. So I think that's kind of where I'm going, is just looking at these maps and relating them to my own experiences, because it's very, very profound. I like with the heroine's journey, it really talks about a separation from the feminine when you're like 4 to 6 years old, and then kind of relate to the masculine. It sets up for the initiation into the underworld, and then, through that underworld process, it's all about reclaiming, right? Repairing that feminine connection through the mother-daughter bond relationship. And then it goes on into like reclaiming and rebonding the masculine. And then like the final stage is this integration, this sacred marriage, which again aligns with the alchemical process. Me and Natalie talked about that in quite a few episodes. So it really feels like a powerful winter for me, that I'm just in a massive amount of integration, levels and layers of life experiences, things that have come before and things that are coming now that are kind of like loops of previous cycles that are trying to like shift and come to an end. So, right. So a new cycle can start that isn't repeating, but is growing and evolving from those previous cycles. So that's kind of where I personally feel that I'm at, is this integration of all of these topics that we had spent our past year really diving into kind of weekly. And so with winter being here now, it's been nice to really just kind of rest and slow down and really being gentle with myself. I've been wanting to do a podcast episode for like a month, and I'm honestly not even 100% today. I've been dealing with a head cold for the past week, and it just seemed like every time I was trying to set this intention for like, I'm going to hop on and do a podcast, something came up and my day just didn't turn out how I wanted it to. But I'm very determined and resilient. So here I am with our first podcast of 2025. Pretty much just going with the flow, very intuitive, because I kind of know what I want to touch on. So I apologize if I'm kind of a little foggy. It's definitely the head cold and trying to gather the thoughts and stay focused. I think the biggest thing I really have noticed and wanted to discuss was where we kind of left off in the fall. We were preparing for a lot of big changes in our personal lives, with Natalie starting her PhD program, and then just, with me and what I'm kind of continuing and doing in my community. And I'm definitely excited to say that I feel like it was a very successful year. Last summer into the fall, I had created some classes and some workshops that I was able to host. I took off kind of the fall and the winter. In January, I hosted a vision board workshop, which I felt was very successful. The women that gathered and into the space received what they were looking for and what they wanted, and we all kind of, went out after the event was over, prepared for intention setting for the new year that we're in. So now we were doing a goddess circle on Zoom last year, monthly. And again, because of our scheduling and just all the shifts, we have not picked up on that since the holidays. And I have been lucky enough to be able to bring that in person. So starting this Saturday, the 15th of February, is going to be our first in-person goddess circle. I'm super, super excited for this, and I'm really praying and hoping that it can continue to be something monthly. I definitely have a beautiful vision and a lot of themes set up for the next few coming months. This one, with it being kind of the day after Valentine's Day, I thought about the goddesses, love goddesses, and the goddesses we love. Oh, excuse me. So for me, it's definitely Artemis. I love Artemis. That's my moon goddess for sure. My very wild and independent woman. So I will definitely be kind of talking about that goddess in the goddess circle. And then there'll be, some journaling prompts or breathwork exercises, things like that. Just to be able to check in with like self-care, because I feel like right now, at the peak of winter, self-care is extremely crucial. We kind of don't slow down all the time when we feel like we have to keep going, and we push ourselves. And right now is definitely an important time to kind of just remember, like, we need to slow down and just be gentle on our mind spaces and our heart spaces, and just have compassion for ourselves. Those things will get done, all of the goals and the priorities. But if you're not focusing on yourself and resting and hydrating, you're just going to keep depleting your body. And then it's going to make it harder to get to those priorities. So really just slowing down for a minute and listening to the body and what it's telling you it needs is super crucial right now. So I just really wanted to take a minute and just remind people of that, focus and listen to what your body is telling you. I also am really excited about another space that I have created that will begin right shortly after the equinox. Tarot and tea, coffee and cards. So I'm really, really super excited for this space and the vision I have of it in my head, of how I'm bringing it together. So I'm going to host, for people that are interested in Oracle and Tarot, that just coming together and just sharing our cards with each other, being able to practice different spreads and have fun with that, just practice like intuition with cards and looking at like the symbolism, just really being able to dive in and, have a space for, sharing our love and our intuitive side. And then just having fun with like, yeah, some coffee and tea and snacks, in that space. So there's definitely a few things that I'm working on for that. And I'm really hoping, that it is successful and can become something on a monthly basis again, in my area. Cause I definitely feel like the spiritual community, people that are trying to, do the work and focus on self-care and personal, enrichment, right? Empowerment, healing the wounds, the shadow work, all of that. I feel like that is definitely expanding, and people are really looking for more community spaces with others that are like-minded in those areas. So that's definitely a big intention behind it. And that's what Women of Consciousness stands for, was really bringing community and really helping people to just work on themselves and be able to focus on themselves. So I'm very, very grateful for that. Trying to think. So back in November, like I said, I've been really in a massive integration phase the past few months, from all of these different themes. It's almost like right when you're weaving a blanket and you're taking, all the yarn. I feel like that's all I'm doing in this moment, is just like weaving all of these different pieces of tapestry together and forming like this whole new, fabric of my life. So we were talking about tantric energy a lot last year, and we were kind of on our own individual journey exploring that. And then we were, coming together and doing some breath work, and talking about it in our goddess circles when we were hosting the Zoom. And so Natalie and I were really like, connecting with our own bodies and connecting with each other through that. And it was really beautiful. And then, we've kind of have taken a break and, like I said, haven't been able to focus quite as much, as we were. And so I've kind of been on my own, but like, it's funny because like the tantric stuff, it was definitely felt like a gateway, and then going through this gateway, and then it just kind of went deeper and deeper. And I definitely had some experiences over the winter that were very, very profound. And it was very much that altered state of consciousness, right? Where it just kind of takes you out of your body into this high meditative, state. And your consciousness is kind of, somewhere else and in the stream of consciousness. And that was so amazing and so profound. And I don't honestly want to share too much of the details, because it was very, very beautiful and private. But I will say I reached a stage of goddess energy that is very ancient and very mythological, and sacred and so symbolically present in our day-to-day lives, that I felt embarrassed in some ways. I laughed and I couldn't stop laughing. It felt so silly to kind of talk about my experience, with the person that I was with in the moment. But I realized it was a true state of bliss, just pure bliss. Like I've never experienced in like this lower vibrational embodiment. Like I don't even know how to articulate it, honestly. Like, I mean, how do you put into words and it's hard. But it was very, very profound and blissful. And I feel extremely grateful for that. So again, looking back at like all of our kind of Tantra, videos that we were talking about and exploring and whatnot, I feel like that path has just kind of continued for me and expanded. And so I'm still kind of navigating that. The psychedelic community has definitely been really interesting. Again, with it being winter, we kind of have taken a break from retreat spaces. Our retreats will begin in the spring rather. So I'm looking forward to an upcoming season of working with others. I'm an integration coach. I join weekly Zooms right now, but when we're in the retreat space and you're watching all of these people come together and go through a lot of, trauma and pain and do the work and come out the other side. And then months later, they're still checking in and you're still seeing them grow and do the work. And then like the shadow stuff comes up in these community spaces and seeing how people are really responding to the shadow, like that's where the real work happens, is when the triggers come and now you're in a group, and personalities and opinions and ideas aren't maybe all in a fluid stream. There's some rocky shores there. It's been really interesting for me to watch in the past 6-7 months, how people kind of choose to navigate those waters. When I held space for our last retreat back right actually after Halloween during the Day of the Dead weekend, I haven't talked about it, but it's been sitting with me and it's been very, very, it's been the most profound psychedelic. It was psilocybin. And it was a lot of men. We do small ceremonies, and I believe it was about 10 men and only one female that came to do the work. And the other facilitators, there was a few men, there was a couple of other women. So the masculine feminine ratios were not equal, and it got very, very heavy and very intense. And with it lining up with the season and the energy, it has been the most profound retreat that I facilitated for other people. And to hold the space of the wounded masculine and to feel what my body felt for that heaviness. Again, I'm just trying to like articulate and put it into words. It felt like being buried. It felt like being buried alive in like quicksand. And my stomach, and I wasn't the only female, where our womb spaces was transmuting this energy while these people were, going through their process on their medicine journey. It was extremely painful for my womb to be able to transmute that energy and to hold that space. I felt and saw death. And it's funny because later on when we did integrate someone else who was on the journey, who was there for themselves, they saw the goddess of death walking through as I was walking through this space. And so death was very, 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 very present within that retreat. And it makes just so much sense. Like I said, looking at the weekend, looking at the energy, looking at the healing that was coming up for the people that were coming into the space. And it was a lot of feeling very buried and deep, dark, dense earth. And for the feminine energy within me it felt very hard, like the spark of light, the spark that made me creative, that allowed me to dance or allowed me to have, I would say creative flow, right? Like it was so dim, it was buried, and it felt so hard to connect with that part of me. There was a couple of times I would have to leave the room and just go and get air for a minute, and walking away and going into a different space away from everyone else's energy. It really allowed me to feel lighter and to reconnect. And I remember at one point just laying on my stomach. So like my belly button was like on the ground, and I just wanted the energy to be kind of transmuted and pulled out of me so I could feel better. And I just remember laying there like, don't forget who you are. Like I'm being suffocated. This darkness is suffocating my light. And just don't forget who you are. And like trying to like crawl across the floor to be able to go and like pull myself to be able to stand up, and then to be able to like walk away and go back into the space and continue to show up and, help people to the bathroom or get them water or whatever it is that I need to do in that facilitation space. It was just very, very profound, and it has stayed with me. And I think a lot of it was premonition. It definitely feels like premonition of what was to come. Because as I have navigated this winter and where we are as a collective, because I would say the election was probably days after that retreat, because that was the first weekend in November. So it just felt super heavy in the United States, with the collective energy right now. There's so much fear and chaos. And then I think on the other hand of that, there's other people that feel a sense of empowerment and maybe feel heard in ways that they weren't feeling heard before. So it's been a total shift in energies, and it has felt extremely heavy this winter. Again, showing up to the weekly Zooms and hosting those integration calls for the people that have been on this journey and doing the work. It's just part of the theme, right? Seeing the weekly themes of the ebb and flow of heavy energy, and how we're kind of either sinking or swimming or drifting into this. So that's kind of another thing of like the self-care that I was talking about earlier in the peak of winter where we're at right now. If you are just feeling like overwhelmed and overstimulated and exhausted, like it truly is on a collective level, a lot of dense, heavy energy. So again, do what you have to do. Take some salt baths, go be in nature, go for a hike. If you can get near water and just spend time near water, even if it's a frozen lake at this point, because I know we're finally have, frozen water here and people are ice fishing. But just go and connect. I've been seeing a lot of eagles lately. I just saw an eagle yesterday. I saw an eagle this morning. So just connecting to, right, the animals and the messages that they bring us, the spirits that, spirit guides that they are. But if you're noticing, it feels like your spark is suffocated and buried by the heaviness of the world. I would say work with that. Don't sink. Don't allow it to bury you. This is where it's intention. This is where self-awareness and conscious intention of like what I want to manifest for myself. We kind of have to sometimes, fight our way through it. As much as I hate to say fight, but it is like the path of the alchemist. Again, the hero's journey, the heroine's journey, right? The gateway through the underworld, all of those things that are part of the soul's conscious evolution. The ego you know what I mean? The ego doesn't quite understand it or see it or acknowledge it for what it fully is all the time. But the more that you can kind of shift that perspective and surrender and trust and let go, and again, integrate soul, integrate ego together, rather than ego trying to control and manipulate and force outcomes or situations. It's really just surrendering and allowing the death of the season to happen. I think for me, coming out of that retreat weekend, the one thing that was super profound was the whole metaphor, symbolic imagery of the diamond in the rough and like the oyster, you know, and how like these aspects of nature that have to go under all of this extreme pressure to produce right coal into diamonds, or like the oyster taking all that gritty sand and making pearls. So that is really like the bigger picture of what I tapped into. So even though it was really heavy and it was very suppressive and it was difficult in moments, to have motivation or to have any kind of inspiration, to have any creativity, because it just felt so exhausting and draining with basic survival mode. That's all natural. That's all natural part of winter where we're at. But I felt throughout December, very much like the diamond in the rough, under pressure, and becoming more of my true authentic self. And so being able to notice the family, my gosh, I've been under so much just family, generational healing. My mom is staying with me. She came here in the beginning of December and she's staying until the end of March. We don't have a very close relationship, so there's been some challenges. Oh my God, there's definitely been some challenges. I feel like I've had to put down boundaries because she doesn't understand or respect boundaries. And like, even just being a parent and trying to parent my kids and then having my parent in my house, it's been a very odd perspective of recognizing how relationships, right? How just relationships grow and evolve, and the attachment that we have, or the security that we have with people, and then just based on like a lack of security or attachment as well. But noticing like when we still show up, or why we still show up, or when it's time to walk away and feel okay completely walking away. And it's harder when it's blood, you know? I'm not talking about like marriages. I'm talking about like your parents and your children. And sometimes, you know, like different horoscopes, different things, right? We have different elements within us. So I'm a lot of fire and water. And so sometimes my children that have more of the air and water, we can do some headbutting with, you know, I got some Scorpio, I got a lot of Scorpio and some Libra, strong Libra energy in my kids. And so that can, you know, make it challenging. And I have children that are adults, right? I have a grandchild. So like I'm really kind of deep in this intergenerational stuff and trying to navigate that. And that in itself has just been completely exhausting. I gotta say that the manipulation and like the narcissism of family members and the way people see you and don't see you, especially like when you're a parent, I feel like there's such a disconnect. Like our children don't always fully see us as individuals because they need us to be their parent, right? So they only see us as that caregiver. They only see us in that role. They don't actually see like sometimes our own identities, our own interests, our own hobbies. And, you know, especially when they're maybe in their teen years and they don't even know who they are themselves, right? They're trying to figure out all of that. So all they know is you're just trying to ground them or discipline them or, you know, maybe like it's just not what they want or they need. And so like rebellion, I mean, it's crazy. It's a lot. And, looking at how, again, as community and as a collective, I don't feel we always support each other as parents. I think we judge more than anything. It's easy to just judge other people, rather than to hold space and to see when people actually, need support and need help. So that's just kind of what, I don't know, just been what I've been looking at from my own, you know, my own childhood and my own teen years, my own relationship with my mother, to now having, you know, her in her early 70s staying with me for the winter, and then me trying to continue raising boys into manhood and dealing with like adult children who now think in their early 20s they have more life experience than I do. So that's fun. That's always a blast. But nevertheless, I am just trying to take it one day at a time and focus on the business, focus on work, and focus on home. I think this is where I just keep reminding myself, like, this is what my soul signed up for, right? These are the soul contracts. This is whatever is dealing with previous karma. I know 2 of my children are new souls, and 2 of my children are old souls that are reincarnated. So for the 2 that are kind of newer souls, that's challenging as well. And it's funny because both of those boys, although one is a man, one is trying to fight conforming to the system through high school expectations. And then the other one is obviously more aligned with it and is in law enforcement. And so he wants to more uphold the structure as the way the structure is. And then the other one wants to help the structure fall apart. So that's been really interesting, trying to navigate and support their life purpose and life paths here. Because I know we did previous episodes last year as well on like conscious parenting. That was a topic that we hit on as well. So all of these topics that we touched on in an episode here and an episode there have just been massively integrating in my life this winter. I feel truly blessed and truly grateful. At the end of the day, I have so much to be grateful for. I recognize in my own journey, I'm still kind of teetering this line of matrix, new earth, 3-dimension, 4-dimension, 5-dimension, like whatever, however you want to label it or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all about shifting, right? We're in this elevation and we're shifting our consciousness. And working in the school systems for me has been a challenge from the beginning years ago. And I kind of stepped back from that and have been more flexible with my role in that so that I can kind of pick and choose what I want to do. And there was a moment where I really thought, because Natalie and I have kind of separated for a minute on our path, I really thought I'm being sucked back in. Everything I wanted to do with this business is now not going as fast as it was. Kind of the brakes got put on it for a minute. And so I really had to deal with the school system and how exhausting it is to work in that environment, and how it's really not what I want. Like this is what I want. Our Women of Consciousness building business, everything we were building and creating, the classes and the workshops and the events that I was creating last summer and hosting, the things that I have lined up for all the way into June. I'm going to do a 3-week class on the archetypes and being able to discover, again, your own personal myth based on, some of your inner archetypes and experiences, looking at the hero's journey and the heroine's journey. And just seeing myself and feeling myself in that shift when I align with people and I start talking about that. And it's just like all of this passion, and I light up and I get excited. And then it's like having to go in it and just go to, a high school or an elementary school or whatever it is that I've decided to do for work that day. It feels more exhausting and draining. And it's like I have to do this just for basic survival instinct, right? Because your root chakra will let you know when there's an imbalance there, and when, your structure maybe doesn't feel 100% secure. And as a single mom, all of the weight has been on me. Even when I was married, hell, even then, all the weight was on me. So at this point, I'm just used to doing it all and carrying it all. But I'm exhausted and I'm tired. And so I think that's also why I didn't do a podcast for a few months, because I had to just focus on self-care and just really showing up to the jobs that I knew were paying. And then, the more creative, fun stuff where there wasn't so much of a financial receiving there, I kind of stepped back from. But now I feel like the path forward is balanced. I brought it all into balance. I'm taking a few days a week to specifically focus on business days. I'm doing oracle card readings. I'm doing chakra energy healing sessions. Like I said, I got workshops and things set up for the next 6 months. So I feel that spark coming back. And I just wanted to take time to just hop on here and really just get the wheels moving, just to feel forward momentum again, just to feel connection with Women of Consciousness and our podcast and our audience. Another thing too was the fact of it's not the same. Like, it's just not the same without Natalie. And to just sit here and talk into my phone or talk into my computer, and just kind of ramble on, it doesn't always feel intentional or productive. Like, I want there to be a clear message, right? I want there to be a clear connection with someone in the audience who can, like, at least say, I resonate with that and I understand that, and that maybe can help shift my perspective for today, and it's something for me new to look at or explore. So there's definitely intentions on why we do these episodes. But gearing up for 2025, I'm really excited about collaborating and networking with some new people. The episode with Lena on the Veteran Psychedelic Network was probably our most popular, most widely shared and supported. Lots of feedback on that I received and that Lena received. And we do have intentions. We are talking, we are meeting weekly. She has a lot going on right now, but we will hopefully get some more podcasts done. We're gearing up for Fungi Fest here in Maine at the end of May. So as things kind of continue to unfold, I'll have some announcements around that and my role within Fungi Fest. but Lena has helped me to network with some other people as well. So there'll be some future podcast episodes with those collaborations. And I don't want to go into depth about things too much because, at this point in winter right now, we're just kind of planting seeds, right? We're planting seeds for the year ahead. We're nurturing what is kind of already the inner garden. And so I want to be mindful of those things and not just throw them out there. Because I'm doing a lot of inner nourishment for my goals. It's definitely a big phase of where I'm at right now. So there'll be a lot more to come for sure. And I'm just really excited about moving forward and the ideas that I have. I will be hosting my first actual event, a vendor event for the Equinox Awakening that will be in my area. I've already got the table reserved. I've been starting to actually, because we've been online and doing everything from an electronic standpoint for our structure. Now I've been able to go and buy actual materials and get things. And like I said, that's why I ordered, stickers and coffee mugs and all of these things. So it feels good. It is a branching out in the business. And it feels exciting. It's just kind of slow motion right now. And that's okay. I need to go slow on myself because it's just me at this point. I have been rebuilding, restructuring our website. So there might be some glitches on that, but I am doing my best to work through some of the kinks. I didn't even know anything about website hosting and creating websites before, January of 2024. So in that success, I'm just really grateful. I've taught myself, pretty much just by trial and error how to run and create a website. So womenofconsciousness.com. The events, there's an events page now. There's links so that you can, schedule sessions with me, in person if you live in the area I live in, or if you're able to attend any of these events. Otherwise, you could just email if you'd like to book a session. Kind of had to remove the calendar just because of inconveniences, I guess, realistically with scheduling. It just wasn't kind of working with the website. So if you are curious about actually booking anything because you don't live in the area, and maybe you want to do something on Zoom, like a reading or whatnot, or you're curious about classes or anything like that, go ahead and feel free to email and I will respond when I can. I do feel bad because I actually got an email from someone who was attending our goddess circles, that I never met. I think she lived across the country, and she just found us on Eventbrite, and she wanted to invite someone and was wondering when we were having them. So I had to email her and let her know that unfortunately that for the time being, we weren't going to be doing those on Zoom, but rather in person on the opposite side of the country from her. So I, again, just am grateful for people that have managed to support us and come across our different social media pages between Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Eventbrite, Podbean. So it's a lot right now. I'm trying to run and keep those all up to date on my own. And then, like I said, I'm one person navigating my own alchemical journey and dealing with intergenerational traumas and parenting and all of those things. That is part of the purpose why I'm here. But I'm super excited because my birthday is coming up. I'm a Pisces and my birthday is in a few weeks. And I have already, oh gosh, the word just totally evaded my mind. I have already scheduled myself a session with an evolutionary astrologist. So I'm going to have a session. I'm really excited that he's going to look at my birth chart. And from what I've heard, he focuses kind of on like your north and south nodes and your soul purpose and like what you're here to really learn. And then with the evolutionary part, I think it's cool because I'm excited to know like what he sees in my chart for where I'm going. I've done a lot with my birth chart, and there are things that I know and there are things that I'm still uncertain about. So I'm really, really excited to see like how that will shift, as well as the fact that I have been in a 5-year and following numerology and your birth years. So for anyone who doesn't know this, isn't familiar with it, if you add up your age to one number, that is kind of the theme of your year. And so when you're in a 5-year, fives are challenging, especially looking at like tarot, right? The fives are always more of like the challenging cards. It's the halfway point in the journey. So it's going to be like a lot of challenges and maybe setbacks or, just rough situations. So I think, again, that's where like the family systems has really come in. And then trying to just continuously like move forward with business when it's not my background. Like I'm not really an entrepreneur. I never took business courses or anything like that. I took writing and psychology. So I'm literally having to take classes and learn things or just teach myself. So it will shift. It will shift to a 6-year on my next birthday with my new age. And I'm excited for that because 6 is a part of my life path. My life path numbers are actually 369, and I was born at 11:11 p.m. So I love my birth numerology. I think it's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what the astrologist even has to say about that because I would love to have some more insight. But with a 6-year, it's more about the teacher energy. It's a very feminine energy. If you look at the 6 and how it curves and circles in, kind of creating this womb space, 6 is very feminine. And so I'm super excited to shift energy and get out of this 5-year of challenges, which has really, truly helped me grow. I've had so much beautiful healing. I feel like just the inner dragon, the dragon warrior was a huge theme last year. And if you watch like the Kung Fu Panda movies, again, because I have, kids, like we've loved those movies, and just looking at like the symbolism of like the snake, and then when he comes into like the dragon warrior, that I feel can perfectly sum up my past year, especially with the Chinese New Year, because now we're in the year of the snake. I know we had the year of the dragon, we had the year of the rabbit. So even that in the past few years, I feel like psychologically the energy has been out there trying to get us to grow and evolve on these psychological conscious levels. So if you're in the midst of challenges and struggles and overwhelm, please just remember to go easy on yourself. Just, tap into your heart space. I'm such an advocate for the chakras. Work with your chakras, understand your energy body, clear that out. Sometimes things are coming up purposefully so the chakras can be cleared out. The masculine, the feminine within, balancing them, right? Getting out of the head space. If you're just in a low vibration of worry and stress and I got to do this, I got to do that, like try and quiet the mind, rise above it so that you can tap into divine creativity and let it flow in, or tap into the heart space. but the mind and the heart really need to align, and then it needs to drop into the stomach. It needs to go, and it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman, it just needs to go into the pit of the stomach where the alchemical fire really truly burns, and where true transmutation occurs, and where things can really be reborn from our chakras and our energy bodies. So that's kind of where I am at in this Women of Consciousness journey. Really, really missing Natalie for sure. Really missing our Tuesdays that we used to have, and hopping on here together. But at the same point, she's on her path, I'm on my path. I know they're going to entwine and integrate, and she's going to be able to bring all the amazing things she's doing with her PhD and stuff to our business, as well as I'm, doing things that I'm able to bring to the business as well. We definitely enjoy collaborating with other people. I'm super excited about this summer, maybe having some opportunities to facilitate at different retreat spaces, as well as in collaboration to host a women's retreat at the end of the summer with a friend of mine. So that's something we've been talking about and planning. And eventually, once we have the location set, it will be announced and marketed, advertised, whatever. So there's definitely a lot that's happening, even though we haven't been so present on our podcast. And so I really just wanted to check in with that. And I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about my winter journey and things that I've been kind of experiencing and going through, because again, they reflect on all different themes and episodes of last year. And it truly, truly feels like a massive moment of deeper integration. I am really, really grateful. I've been doing a lot of work with different goddesses. I've been kind of tapping in to Athena lately, goddess of crafts. I went to my local pottery studio this weekend and I made some pottery pieces. It was just for fun. I am trying to remember those skills that I haven't tapped into in quite some time. And I have a goal that I would eventually like to be able to hop on the pottery wheel and make a vase. Maybe, make some dishes or whatnot, some decorative pieces that could be useful. I don't know. But that's kind of been Athena channeling through me, at least. And I've been reading about her, and reconnecting with her, as well as Hestia, the goddess of the hearth. Just right, being in meditative states when doing house chores. So, laundry and dishes and cleaning the floors and doing the dusting, all of these things that are just kind of natural. I definitely feel her, and I am tapping into that homebodiness during the winter, but also truly recognizing Artemis and how I don't want to be a slave to my house. Like I want to go, I want to be adventurous and spontaneous, and I want to put my time and my energy in other places. I don't want to just clean up after other people. And I definitely don't want to, feel like a maid in my own home. So I think, again, that just comes back to the work of trying to get family to recognize. I think for so long, moms were meant to just kind of do everything and take care of everything and the cooking and the cleaning and all of that. But energy and times are shifting, and like they're not babies anymore. They're preteens into teens, and trying to teach them responsibility and teamwork. Like that's my key word all the time is teamwork. We all live here together. You should care about my time and energy like I care about yours. So that's kind of been the bigger shift, is just trying to reclaim some of my time and energy so that I don't feel like I'm always in this hustia mode of cleaning my house. But also knowing I have a lot of goals to just organize and declutter. And I think that's the biggest thing of winter too, is like, it's felt like a den. I definitely had some archetypal modes where I felt like the bear in hibernation, right? And like my home, my bedroom, it really felt like my den. And like coming out of that and going out into the world on days when I didn't want to, but I had to, and just kind of navigating that, and then being able to retreat back into the house, and then really looking around at the energy within the house, and in how has the energy gotten stuck? How is the energy flowing? Where is all this clutter and all this unnecessary energy building up? So I'm definitely looking forward to not being buried in a foot of snow. With more storms coming, that eventually I can just kind of start hauling stuff into my car and start making donations and really getting rid of things. I'm looking forward to gearing up there and really just moving on and being productive. So just, yeah, I guess that's a tip, for those of us that are kind of more home right now in the winter months. Just notice, take notice and awareness of your den and how is it feeling? Because sometimes you might not even notice your own mood and energy shift when you leave or re-enter your house. Sometimes you might leave and go and be in your work environment, that can shake your mood and your energy, and then you leave and then you come back home. So again, having my mom here, I've definitely noticed how my mood shifts, because I know certain energy that I'm going to be greeted with. So yeah, I think that's really important. A part of the self-care, it's not only the physical self-care, but there's got to be like energetic self-care, right? You want to make sure you're not having leaks in your aura, or your chakra is getting blocked and stuck. So listening to your body, especially like the stomach area, that can be a really huge one, or like the throat, right? If you're having a lot of throat, like coughs and colds, the throat chakra, I think if it's inactive or overactive, we have like a lot of thyroid issues based on that. But just kind of noticing your body will kind of tell you like how your energy underneath is trying to navigate and move. So I guess those are just kind of my random thoughts, all just coming from a few months of silence. I just feel really, really grateful for this space and for the support from our family and our friends that have been really showing up for us. The community, that Women of Consciousness has been trying to create and connect with. It's just about, accountability and doing the work for ourselves and for others, and knowing like we're not alone in it. Doing the great work of the alchemist. So yeah, thanks for listening today. Like I said, there's a lot that I'm planning, and there's a lot that I'm in the lineup for. So I will keep those things on the social media pages updated. I'm hoping to be able to get some